Hello. In this video, I'd like to show you some tips on customizing your taskbar. The first thing I'd like to talk about is whether the icons at the very bottom are compressed just to the icon level here, or whether you can actually see the name of the software and possibly the name of the file that you're working on. So the default these days is just to have the little icon. So here we have Edge is running and the File Explorer is running, but it's actually hard to tell that visually because all they do is highlight it a little bit. So let's change that first. So we're going to right click and go to Taskbar Settings and scroll down here where it says Combine Taskbar Buttons, and we want to change that to Never. Okay, and then you'll see uh, we can actually see it's the File Explorer that's running, Microsoft Edge is running here, and even here where we open settings instead of just the gear icon, it actually says settings. So it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to see what's running and choose between them, right? And the other thing that happens is that if you have more than one file explorer open, uh, like if I right click here and say file explorer to get another instance running, I actually see both instances, right? Whereas if I switch this back to always hide labels, they get combined into the single icon, and you actually have to hover over it to choose between them, right? So yeah, once again, I think for productivity, uh, choosing never for many people is going to be the best solution. Okay, now there are other things here on the taskbar that take up room that you may never actually use or need, right? One of which here is the people icon. I service computers. I don't know anybody that uses that icon or even knows what it's for. So if you're one of those many people, just to the left of it, between whatever's running and the first icons on the right in the system tray, there's always a little bit of space here where at least where you can right click and uh, choose some of the options for the taskbar. So one of those is show people on the taskbar. We can uncheck that and it just gives us that much more room. Another icon that's seldom used and generally misunderstood is this one here, the task view. Most people don't know what it's for. Even if they do, most people don't use it. If you click on it, it is useful. It shows you all the windows that are running and lets you choose between them. Gives you kind of a grid of what's up currently on your computer. And it even shows you some desktops that you can move between, and you can add new desktops if you like. So if you're a super productive person with lots of programs and tabs open, you can move things between desktops and keep yourself organized with groups in that way. But if you seldom or never use that icon, of course, it can be removed. So once again, here, just in that little space, if there's no other area, you can uncheck the Show Task View button. Okay, and of course, there are other options here. There's the Cortana Show Cortana button. So on older systems, and by which I mean the earlier versions of Windows 10, Search and Cortana were combined. But nowadays, uh, just to the right of our Windows icon here, we have Search, right, which is sort of your standard Windows search, and then next to it we have Cortana here, right, which is yeah, I haven't used Cortana, so it wants to uh, get a voice instructions from me, but we're not going to do that now. So the idea here is if you don't use Cortana, you can turn that off as well. And there are other um, options for search. For example, you can hide that, or you can either have the icon, which is how I have it set up now, or you can show the search box. If you do a lot of searching, you can have the search box open and ready to be used at all times if you turn on that option. So personally, I like to have the icon to give me more room on the taskbar for running programs. And if you never use search there, you can always hide it. because you can always use uh, basically an equivalent to search is click on your Windows icon, and even though you don't see any search box there, you can just start typing. So for example, if I type in the word control, it'll search for anything with that string in it. The primary one, of course, being the control panel. And you'll see that a search box does begin to appear once you start typing. So you can even do without the search icon if you like. All right. We have our show touch keyboard button, which is this icon down here, right? So if you don't have a touch screen, or if you seldom use it again, and you'd rather not have that icon taking up space, you can uncheck that as well, right? Now, another interesting aspect of the taskbar that you can add to it is if we right-click here, we have the Toolbars option. And for example, many people have icons on their desktop that they like to use to, open different programs. And of course, they find that when they've already opened at least one program, the icons are covered. So you can go to Toolbars and choose Desktop, and you'll get a little desktop entry here near the right-hand side. And then if you click on the little double arrow here that's just beside the label, you'll see all of the icons on your desktop. And if you have folders, etc., on your desktop, they'll be listed and they'll have drop-down menus like this. You can get even into the contents of folders through that little shortcut there. So that can be very useful. I've seen many people set that up on their systems to give them quick access to things, even when other programs are already running. And of course, we went into right-click and taskbar settings, and there's many settings in here. One of them, important one at the top here, being lock the taskbar. Keeping that on makes sure that your taskbar doesn't suddenly end up on the left or right edge or the top of your screen accidentally if you drag a little when you're clicking on something, right? You can choose to automatically hide the taskbar when you're in your desktop mode, which essentially means the taskbar will drop down out of sight so that you get a little bit more room for whatever window that you're working on. And to view the taskbar again, you just push your mouse cursor all the way to the bottom, and it will pop up and you can use it again. Um, you can choose to use small taskbar buttons, right? Which again will give you a little bit more space because the icons, of course, don't take up as much room when they're smaller. I prefer the larger ones myself, a little bit more visually appealing. And we have the peak preview here, settings, and several other settings that you can explore at your leisure, right? So hopefully this has given you a nice introduction to doing some customization on your taskbar. One further tip would be the system tray, which is at the bottom right-hand corner. Uh, Generally, we'll have this little up arrow here that says Show Hidden Icons. Sometimes those can be quite extensive. Don't forget that those are there if you're looking for something. But also, you can choose what shows up uh, constantly and consistently in the area there by going down here to notification area and choosing select which icons appear on the taskbar. Okay, so one sort of global setting here is always show all icons in the notification area. So if you never want anything hidden, you can choose that. But depending on the number of icons that you have, that can pretty much fill the bottom of your screen. So more generally, you want to choose uh, the specific ones that you want to see. I don't use Microsoft OneDrive very often, for example, so I could turn that off. And I would generally recommend, if you do use your speakers, etc., leaving your volume in there. And personally, I like to see my network status to be able to tell if there's issues with that or not. This is a fairly short list on this computer, but sometimes you'll find that the list is quite extensive and you'll have several options, several items to decide about when you're doing this kind of thing. Hopefully this has helped you out, and thank you for watching.